scheduled for one fall. Introducing your host from the misty mountains of the Beehive State. He is the voice of Talking Kayfabe. Please welcome Jordan Loadman. Introducing his podcast partner, representing Spine Buster Sports, he is Kyle, the Pound Cake Shira. Hello, everybody, folks, and welcome to Monday Night Pod. Of course, I'm talking about Talking Kayfabe, which is the greatest wrestling podcast that you all have never, ever heard. Of course, I'm joined potside by my bestest buddy, Kyle Poundcake. How are you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, my man. How are you?
Ooh, man, another great episode lined up for us today, man.
That's right, man. I got so much great feedback on the Halloween episode. People, at least in my area, that are checking us out seem to be loving what we are doing, brother. So,
ooh, that means a lot. We're slowly getting a little traction here and there. So
we're getting that momentum going.
Absolutely.
Little snowball effect. We're coming.
Oh, snowball.
Watch out, everybody.
Oh, snowball, man. You remind me of snow, and it's on its way. I don't know if you guys got it there, but we haven't got it yet.
We have had a stretch of opening November with 75-degree weather. So
is that normal for you guys?
Oh, no. My daughter will be 4 here in January. Her first Halloween, it was snowing something crazy here. Oh, man. And the way Halloween was this year, I thought it was going to be the same, start getting that way again, but then it ticked up. We're probably sitting right about 60, 65 this morning right now. So it's a little balmy here in Michigan today. So
that's Mother Nature's way of being like, all right, enjoy this, and then we're going to dump every inch of snow on top of you guys.
Oh, yeah, no, it's going to be a rough January and February here.
Well, with that being said, guys, today is another special episode because we appreciated everybody checking out the Halloween episode, and we appreciate everybody that has been constantly and consistently checking us out because we're just having fun. This really is one of the greatest wrestling podcasts just because we're two fans, two smart marks, just talking about wrestling, and what better way to do it than in front of all of you people?
Yeah, that's right, man. Like me and you, every time we talk, we keep just hammering in those facts with each other, just how much fun that we're having. And that's what it's all about anyways, is just having a good time, trying to unload some of this vast wrestling knowledge between the two of us on anyone that will listen to this show. And yeah, I've been enjoying it every single week. I'm super glad that I answered your post on Facebook and it led to all of this between us.
I love it. It's been one hell of a ride so far, and here's to the red cup to not ending anytime soon. But today we do as we do every time. We took the old Raw roulette wheel, Leo, I can say that right. And we rebranded it. It is officially rebranded. For those of you that remember the Raw Roulette Leo, it's going to trip me every time. It's now officially the Pod Roulette Wheel, which we have all of our subjects on. We spun it earlier before the show started, and of course, it landed on something that neither one of us was expecting, but hopefully we're both pretty prepared for this. It's called Can You Book It? Now, of course, you're asking, what the hell is Can You Book It? It's basically us taking two superstars, two factions, two tag teams, whatever, and we're going to take them from different whatever, and we're going to mash them together and create a feud, if you will, and we're going to see how it works out and if we can get away with it. So what do you say, Kyle?
Can you book it, sucker?
Oh, man, I'm excited because, of course, with that, we took two superstars. I think that two of the biggest superstars in wrestling history, and we took them and we put them together to see what it would look like. And I figured, what better way to take these two big superstars? These are definitions of their era. You have Hulk Hogan, who was the definition of wrestling in the 80s, Hulkamania himself. And we figured, let's put him up against the definition of the ruthless aggression era, the PG era face, if you will. And let's put them together and see how that works and see what kind of feud we can come up with.
Hell yeah. We got the quintessential good guy from my era and the quintessential good guy from your vast wrestling knowledge era.
That would be, yeah.
We're gonna mix them up and we're gonna see what happens.
This it's funny because I didn't even think about that Hogan would have been your Cena in that time period. So I guess it works out well for me.
Oh, for sure. Like I very much remember, there was a point in time when, people may not have been able to name a professional wrestler, but everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was.
Right.
And you could show him WCW and people would be like, oh yeah, that's that stuff Hulk Hogan does, even though in those early days he was never really a part of WCW. So and it's interesting. And then we never a lot of us never thought we would see somebody with that kind of star power behind them. And then we got the Austins, we got the Rocks, and those guys went off. And then this guy with ruthless aggression comes in and starts laying down some raps and doing some crazy stuff. And then who would have known in the summer of 2002 when he made his debut that we would be talking 20 years later about just this huge impact John Cena has made on the wrestling business.
It's funny because the very first episode that we did of Talking Kayfabe, I completely forgot about that it has been 20 years since Cena joined professional wrestling. Of course, he was the prototype down in Florida Championship Wrestling and stuff like that. But I mean, John Cena has been on the scene for 20 years. The Doctor of Thugonomics is close to retirement, if not already retired, in my opinion.
Well, and he's not the only one. I mean, think of that class, that OVW class of 2002. We're talking Lesnar. We're talking
Orton.
Batista, Randy Orton, like a huge Hall of Fame class. I mean, all four of these guys will eventually be in the Hall of Fame. It's just a matter of time of when. And I don't know if we'll, outside of the Shield era, that era coming up through with, Moxley, Reigns, Rollins, if we see, a group of guys come in all at the same time that make as big of an impact as that OVW 2002 class did.
I agree, because it's even funny because when you put guys that are on the main rosters now, a lot of these guys, even guys like Kevin Owens, like Sami Zayn, they've been doing this for quite a while, if not just a little shorter than Cena and them. But I mean, they're just as experienced. Almost said old, but they're just as experienced. I mean, you got guys like AJ Styles, who would have been during the John Cena era. Who he was part of TNA during that time. So I mean,
opened the first TNA pay-per-view and actually he was the first pinfall on TNA TV.
Holy wow.
In fact,
I love that. I love TNA. I talking about TNA stuff because TNA was one of those organizations for me that felt dirty. It felt kind of like I was cheating on the WWE at the time. So I was really into TNA. It's funny because TNA to me would have been NXT for this guy right here behind us. He was the guy that was like NXT. For me, it was TNA.
No, yeah, TNA and Ring of Honor more in like the 03-04 time period. But the stuff that those they were doing in that 02, like I said, 02, 03, 04 was huge. Like it was different. We at that point in time we were all getting used to just having like the one pro wrestling thing to watch, and that was whatever WWE was putting out. And it was a nice breath of fresh air with TNA popping up, Ring of Honor, taking all the best independent talent all over the nation, putting them together on one card, and seeing guys like Bryan Danielson, AJ Styles, CM Punk, Homicide all make their way up, and getting that grassroots kind of campaign behind them with their careers.
It was definitely one of those things. Of course, TNA, now Impact Wrestling, still on the air, which should kind of go to show you. Does Jarrett still own that company, or did he sell it out?
No, I believe it's still owned by Panda Energy. I believe Dixie Carter still has something to do with that. Now I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure Jarrett got out of that quite a bit ago. But I mean, my man, that guy jumps around from company to company doing the most random stuff ever. Like, you know, went back to WWE, got put in the Hall of Fame, was down in AAA wrestling there before that. Now is some sort of business director in AEW
I
who
saw
made his
that.
debut this last week. So, but I hand it to the man. Me and you have had talks about our personal lives and certain aspects, and Jared seems like he's a completely different person since he quit drinking. I watched the Vampiro documentary.
Oh yeah.
That was spectacular, but you see the Jeff Jarrett that I always thought he was in that, because he was so messed up and could barely do his job in some of those backstage scenes in AAA. But then you listen to him on his show with Conrad, and it really, he seems like a man that's really come to peace with his demons. And like I started listening to that show not expecting to take anything from it. I was like, I'll give Jeff Jarrett a chance, and that's one of my favorite new podcasts out there. So
I love it. I haven't gotten around to listening to it, but I mean, Jeff Jarrett, again, a veteran in this business, knowing all the experience, of course, from his days wrestling alongside his dad, Jerry Jarrett, and stuff like that. So hats off to Jeff Jarrett for his sobriety and stuff like that. So, well,
wait, just
oh,
oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, without further ado, man, let's jump on into this. Hogan, Cena, the era versus era match. This is an end of an era. This is era v era. Hogan, Cena, nunts in a lifetime, man. What do you say we jump into it?
All right, let's do this, man.
All right, man. Well, you being the sports guy that you are, you come in with statistics, you come in with stats, brother. I'm gonna let you take the wheel on this one and see where you can go with it.
All right. So I'm gonna set the stage for everyone, because I kind of did some twisting and turning, changed a little bit of history for this to match up with what I was thinking. But I have, May 2002, after WrestleMania that year with the match with The Rock, Hogan turned face. The NWO kind of fizzled out with what it was brought in for, and Hogan ends up winning the undisputed championship from Triple H at Backlash that year, and then lost it the next month at Judgment Day versus The Undertaker. Well, in this scenario, the NWO stays together, Hogan stays heel,
Ooh.
and defeats The Undertaker at Judgment Day. So I've got May 2002. It's May 20th. It's the night after Judgment Day, after Hogan defeats The Undertaker, and a month earlier than originally, Vince McMahon hits the Monday Night Raw ring and makes his ruthless aggression promo.
Ooh.
Surprisingly enough, doing research for this, that actual promo happened on my birthday in 2002. So that was kind of cool to find out.
I was gonna say a little tidbit about that is that everybody anoints Cena with saying ruthless aggression, and it was funny because going back and watching the Cena debut and stuff like that, it was actually Kurt Angle that coined the term ruthless aggression, and that he was the definition of ruthless aggression. That Kurt Angle was, was all of that. So it was really like odd to me because we're so used to seeing and hearing Cena ruthless aggression. We're so used to seeing that out of him, but it was one of those like, holy shit, I forgot that it was actually Kurt Angle that coined the term first, and Cena took it as a no, I have ruthless aggression. So, but I thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, for sure. No, and it's one of those things that when you look back on Cena's career, it was definitely a huge moment for him, even though he had the fizzle out a little bit after that fact, and it took him some time to get his feet right there. That's always a moment that gets looked at and analyzed by so many pro wrestling fans because we had never really seen anybody who was an unknown make that kind of statement coming right out of the gate. And that's exactly what I'm going to have him do here because that Friday on SmackDown, May 24th, 2002, Hogan, Hall, and Nash opened the show talking about how they finally ended The Undertaker at Judgment Day and sent him far away to a place where he will not be coming back any soon. Hogan proclaims the NWO is the most dominant force once again in the professional wrestling industry. He says no one else in the back wants anything to do with the NWO, and the entire roster is scared to stand up to them. Hogan then asks if anyone in the back thinks that they're worthy enough to go one-on-one with the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Unfamiliar music hits, and an unknown man makes his way down to the ring. Hall, Nash, and Hogan look amused as this well-built young man gets in the ring, and Hogan laughs it off and asks the guy his name, and he says, John Cena. uh, and that part pretty much goes the same way with the Kurt Angle Cena. Hogan asks what he thinks, why this guy thinks he can get in the ring with the quintessential god of professional wrestling. Cena lays the ruthless aggression line down on him, throws one into Hogan, Hall, and Nash, and that sets up a Scott Hall versus John Cena match for later on that night on SmackDown. Great match top to bottom. Hall dominates most of the match, not really taking Cena seriously at all. Cena reverses a Razor's Edge attempt late, hits a huge clothesline. Hogan goes to distract the referee as Nash puts a chair in the corner. Hall sets up Cena for an Irish whip. Cena reverses it. Hall hits the chair. Cena rolls him up for the 1-2-3. And Cena gets that big first victory over Scott Hall on his debut night. And NWO ends up beats him down, tags him with the NWO spray paint like they have done so many times in WCW. And that's how I write the first day John Cena's in WWE, setting up this feud with Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jordan,
Ooh.
this is just the beginning.
Oh my God. I'm sitting here looking and I'm imagining everything happening. Of course, we remember the way Cena looked back then. He was boots and tights. He was everything. So to see that version of Cena kind of get a little bit of a win over Scott Hall, Razor Ramon himself. So the fact that he gets one win, that shows you that this kid's ready to play. This kid's ready to take on, whatever. I'm assuming that he becomes some sort of like thorn in the NWO's side. Am I right?
Well, yeah, essentially, on the following Raw, May 27th, video package of what happened on SmackDown airs. They announced that John Cena will be at SmackDown that week to address the WWE fans. On that SmackDown, he has his first in-ring promo. Cena proclaims he wants a shot at Hogan. The NWO music hits. Hall and Nash appear to tell Cena he has a lot to prove before he gets a shot at the WWE Undisputed Championship. Cena also proclaims he understands he's the new kid on the block, has no problem proving himself the same way he has done throughout his entire life. And Cena says that if Nash thinks that Cena needs to prove himself, why don't they face off on Raw 1-on-1 and see if Cena can prove himself.
Oof. Oof. I like this because like Cena was when he first debuted, he was, SmackDown exclusive at that time. So to see them sort of bouncing between SmackDown and Raw, because he is sort of a sort of a not not Brandon. Brandon, that's a shout out for you. But I love it. I love it. I'm invested. What happens next?
All right. June 3rd, Raw. Show opens with Hall and Nash arriving to the arena, walking past the Big Show, and make a comment about how much weight the Big Show has gained since the WCW days. Nash makes a comment about how that weight gain is probably from when he broke the Big Show's neck with the jackknife powerbomb in WCW, and how the Big Show's never been the same since then. And then Big Show warns the NWO that if they keep running their mouths, they may be leaving the arena tonight with broken jaws.
I love it. I totally spaced that. The giant, aka the Big Show, Paul White. Oh, nose to nose with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall.
That's right. Later that night on Raw, the Cena versus Nash match happens. It's very much like the Scott Hall Cena match, with a small exception of Nash staying on top of Cena a little bit more, understanding that he could end up being surprised the exact same way Scott Hall was, and he doesn't want that kind of embarrassment. As Cena tries to make his late comeback, he reverses a snake eyes that from Kevin Nash, pushes Kevin Nash into the corner, which takes out the referee. Hall hits the ring, beats down Cena. Cena and Nash or Hall and Nash are taking it to Cena at this point, and the Big Show's music hits.
Well, is the Big Show.
Huge pop from the arena. Big Show lays out Hall with a weapon of mass destruction, gives Nash the big choke slam, and takes the lifeless Cena, throws him over Kevin Nash, revives the referee, and Cena gets his second victory over Kevin Nash, 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring to close out Monday Night Raw.
I'm so invested.
So then we go to SmackDown that week. It's another video package and an announcement that on Monday on Raw, it will be Cena and the Big Show versus Hall and Nash. And if Cena and the Big Show win, Cena will get his match against Hulk Hogan at the King of the Ring for the WWE Undisputed Championship. So we go to Monday. Raw opens with Big Show completely laid out in the back, disheveled. The camera's panning back and forth. Big Show is just completely out, face down on the ground in the back of the arena. And the Hall, Nash, and Hogan appear and tag Big Show with the NWO spray paint. And Hogan makes the comment of, if Cena wants a shot at this championship, he's going to have to do this all by himself. So fast forward to the main event. It's Hall and Nash versus Cena in a handicap match. And they are just giving it to Cena, but they can't quite put him away. Every time, you think Cena's done, he just barely gets out of it. Constant, just barely staying alive. Hits a big reversal. Trying to see. Hits a big reversal on Scott Hall when Scott Hall is trying to hit a super fall away slam, and Cena knocks him off the top rope, hits a flying crossbody, lights go out. American Badass hits, and the Undertaker makes his return. So it hasn't been seen since Judgment Day. Comes in, gets in John Cena's corner. Cena makes the tag. Undertaker cleans house, gets the tombstone on Scott Hall. 1, 2, 3. Cena gets his match with Hogan at King of the Ring in 2 weeks.
Ooh.
So Undertaker, or I'm sorry, not Tombstone. Undertaker hits the last ride. I forgot. It's American Badass Undertaker. I got
Oh
to make
yeah.
sure.
Well, no,
I
okay, so he did do the tombstone periodically, so it's not like that would have been completely out of the realm for
Oh, for sure.
him.
I'm just trying to keep my mind straight with the time frame that we're in.
I'm
Uh,
I'm I'm invested, and I hope everybody that's listening isn't just as invested as I am because god damn, this is just amazing. It almost makes
well,
me heartbroken that this actually never happened.
right. Well, then we're 2 weeks out of the pay-per-view when this match is announced. On the following SmackDown, Cena, it's June 14th. Cena promo talk about what happened on Monday Night Raw, how much respect he has for The Undertaker and what he did for him. Vows to take the championship off Hogan. Uh, June 17th, a week before the match, we see a paid advertisement from the NWO, kind of like those old
Nah,
WCW ones. And
the following message has been paid for by the New World Order.
exactly. And Hogan keeps hammering in the fact how he's the greatest pro wrestler of all time, and there's never going to be anyone like John Cena that can take the championship off of him. And we go in to the go home SmackDown 2 days before King of the Ring. Cena and Jericho in the main event. Um, Great match. Jericho gets the win after NWO interference. The last images we see on SmackDown before the King of the Ring pay-per-view is John Cena face down in the ring with that, getting tagged in the NWO spray paint, kind of setting up that King of the Ring. So we go fast forward to this King of the Ring match. It's Hogan versus Cena for the WWE Undisputed Championship. And, John Cena is the consummate underdog in all of this, always trying to battle back, always trying to battle back. And it's that typical Hollywood Hogan-esque WCW. Hogan always, it's funny because when Hogan went to being that heel character, he always played on top and, the scared heel, but, getting the upper hand, the wear down holds, stuff that when he was a baby face, was always the one on the bottom taking. And,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so it's fun to see, to think about Hogan in that typical heel fashion of just being the one wearing down the opponent, trying to put the good guy away. Um, as We have another ref bump that happens, Hall and Nash hit the ring after the ref bump to try to take out Cena. Uh, the numbers begin to be too much. Undertaker hits the ring, and for a minute, everything's working out great, but we still got a 3-on-2. And then we hear, what music do we hear?
Well, it's the big show.
That is right, my man. And the Big Show hits the ring. Hall and Nash completely jump out of the ring, looking scared as all hell. And as we're all sitting there, we're invested. Cena's going to get this win. What does the Big Show do? Take Cena out, hits him. As Hogan's getting up, looks amazed. Hogan hits the ropes, hits the leg drop, and Hulk Hogan beats John Cena for the WWE Undisputed Championship. 1, 2, 3. Big Show joins the NWO.
Rejoins the NWO. Oh
He
my
joins the
god.
NWO and makes the 1 millionth heel face turn as the Big Show does.
At that time, it would have been the 500th of whatever. But
Right.
oh,
And that's how I book the the very first John Cena Hulk Hogan match.
oh, oh my god, I'm so disappointed. Cena was right there. He was there. He would have been the first youngest WWE champion in history. He was 25 at this time period. Think about that. Lesnar, Orton. I mean, Orton would become the youngest. Actually, I think it's God. I think it's Sasha Banks
I
that's
think
the
it's
youngest.
Yeah, all time.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
you
so.
might be right. I know if we're talking completely, I'm pretty sure it's Rene Dupree from Les Resistance. He was
Ah.
19 when he won the tag team championships, right?
Oh my god, I loved it. I loved every bit of that. I'm so mad that we never got to see that.
Yeah.
Simply because it was written perfectly. Everybody was within character and breaks my heart, man.
Yeah, it, it it ends up being a great way to introduce John Cena, give him a huge push right at the beginning there, but still if Hogan stays as a heel, still gives that heelness to Hogan, and it's always the baby face chasing, and that's really what we love as pro wrestling fans is that baby face changing. We're like, we want to tune in every week to see if the baby face can get over the heels or what's going to happen next. And I think that is a great start to the first month of Cena's career. And then what could happen after that? Who knows? You'll have to tune in next time we maybe we talk about this again on Talking Kayfabe.
Ooh, the nunts in a lifetime again.
That's right.
Man, that's amazing. And like you said, it was Hogan's whole heel persona that he ran. I mean, and he stayed on top for a very long time as that heel. Of course, we all know that Hogan had the he had the way of getting his wins back. He had a way of making sure that he stayed on top. So to see that version of Hogan still running wild, and even in the WWE at that time would have been amazing to see. And it was one of those things, like you said, Cena was always the quintessential underdog. And so where do you go from there? I mean, that's Cena's his first big run. Of course, his actual first big run was with Angle, and I think that right after that was Undertaker. But I think that was before his Undertaker run was before he went and switched over to the jeans, to the jorts and the jerseys and the backwards hat kind of thing. So, um, damn, I love it.
Yeah.
Loved every bit of that.
Yeah, I enjoyed putting that together. It was something a little different than what I've ever done before, but it was a little fun to throw that one together and see if I could make it trying to write a storyline real quick.
And it's funny because that's the beauty about being a smart mark. That's the beauty about knowing all of this stuff is getting a chance to actually put your knowledge to the test and be like, no, man, it would happen like this and it would happen like that. And for me to hear you actually take that ball, I've done this before. Me and my best friend right here, we've done that 1,000 times over. One of our favorite ones that we ever did was we used it was a time machine kind of thing. But if you take a faction like Evolution and you put them side by side and up against at that time one of the most dominant stables at that time was the Undisputed Era. You had and so you had Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole. So we made an entire the Undisputed Era. Boom. So, and it was fun. It's always fun. It's always been fun to fantasy book this kind of stuff. So the fact that you took the ball and ran with it like you did, oh, hats off if I was wearing a hat.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Oh man, I don't want it to end. I wish we could keep going. We have
Oh, I mean, there's plenty more. We have as me and you have talked about off air before, there's we got some tricks up our sleeve. We can, you know, stir the pot a little bit more and maybe be able to pull a little bit more off this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny because like that whole era of Hogan the NWO at that time had didn't am I I'm probably wrong, but didn't Big Show actually join the NWO during that time period too? So
Yep.
yeah.
That's kind of why I threw that one in there was to kind of keep it true. I thought about taking the ruthless aggression Cena, and dropping him in 1999 WCW after the finger poke of doom and having it run that way. But then with the ideas that I had in my head about the tag team matches and uh people joining and not joining, I wasn't quite sure who to put with Cena in that era to help him out in WCW. So I just kept it with the 2002 NWO, since really it's not that far-fetched for the 2002 version of WWE's NWO to stay together
Mm-hmm.
when Cena actually makes his debut that June. I just
Really, really odd because I completely forgot. And if you guys don't remember this, that all happened in the same year. The NWO comes in first part of 2002, the No Mercy or No Way Out NWO. They debuted at No Way Out that year, and shortly after that, like you said, Cena made his debut. So I mean, it's not that far fetched. If in all reality, what you booked is pretty damn close to what could have happened. This was more of a could have happened rather than just fantasy booking this. You actually took it
yeah,
a step further for me.
and like when you really think about how Cena, like we talked about, how Cena actually did debut against Kurt Angle. And at that point in time, how many guys were there that could really measure up to Kurt Angle on the WWE roster? Maybe I would guessing Shawn Michaels, but I don't even think Michaels was back full time yet at that point. No, actually, it was later on that summer, I think, when he came back full time, because it was SummerSlam when I think Shawn Michaels came back. And there you go. We'll throw another thing in there right there. Shawn Michaels returning in 2002 as well, in addition to the NWO, in addition to John Cena's rise. But, you know, there's only a handful of guys that if they were going to do that with Cena, that he could have went up against at that point in time. I think Hogan could have been one of those guys just because of, and the NWO, just because of how much history was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Kurt Angle was the other guy. Like I said, him and Eddie Guerrero were the top two, and maybe Benoit, the man who we will not be named, were the best wrestlers in WWE at that point in time. So like if you're gonna push a virtual nobody and really have him make an impact, you got to have him in a match with one of those top guys and push it almost to the fact of where you actually believe for a second that they're going to win that match, and then they don't.
It really was. It was like you said, that was the beauty about Cena. Cena's whole character at that time, his push and his run consisted of him being that guy that had to overcome the quintessential underdog, as it has always been. And somewhere along the way in his rise and program, like they just kind of were like, "Oh, let's stick him as the underdog." Even though clearly he's the top of the food chain, he's still an underdog. I mean, and I think that's where like the Cena effect is what happens, because you had Hogan that did that. Hogan was a career babyface up until his time in NWO, and so to take these two faces like this and put them side by side, or put them to against each other, heel Hogan, the quintessential babyface of WWFE, and put him up against the forever career babyface outside of his Thugonomics run. It was one of those things where Hogan was always having to defeat. But that, I don't know. I think that the career babyface run worked in the 80s and 90s simply because you had big guys, you had larger than life guys. You had Yokozuna, you had Andre the Giant, you had Big John Studd, King Kong, but like these were huge individuals. But as wrestling sort of transitioned to a group of smaller guys, more thinner, athletic, bigger built, but not so much huge guys, I think that you kind of lose that. Of course, they did that with Cena. They were trying to put him up against guys like the Great Khali, Big Show, even putting him up against guys like Brock Lesnar, who was this and that, the next big thing at that time. So, but somewhere along the way from that point forward, you lost a lot of big guys. You lost a lot of big opponents that could be, in that era of like, okay, can he overcome? Can he overcome? And I think with that, they missed an opportunity to sort of transition into not so much a baby face, but sort of a like a I don't really play by that rule, but at the same time, like I'm still going to do what I think is right kind of thing. And I think that's why everybody's been so fixated on Cena could have been heel. I don't think that Cena ever being heel was ever going to really work just because everybody loved to boo him and he would have been a cool bad guy essentially. So a heel Cena really, in all honesty, this is just me. I'm going to put my hat on and I'm going to shill for the company. I'm going to shill for WWE that a heel Cena makes no sense just because his entire run, people love to boo him. So to make him a bad guy essentially nullifies your boo. So
It's I think Cena is especially now at this point, is the biggest shade of gray. Like we've heard that for 20 plus years now, how it's not just good and bad anymore. Everything are just different shades of gray. And Cena is the grayest of the gray when it comes to pro wrestlers. Like he is essentially what, like, personality wise, is what any pro wrestling organization owner would want.
mm-hmm.
Somebody where kids love him and the parents are spending their money on these Cena products, putting extra money in the um putting extra money into the company, buying t-shirts, buying wristbands, buying whatever. But at the same time, the smart marks, the guys like me and a lot of us just can't stand him and we're going to boo him. And we got kids and their families tuning in because they want Cena to win. And then we got the other half of us tuning in because we want to see Cena lose. And I think Cena's embraced it greatly. And put a stop to a lot of his detractors when he was doing the US Open challenges and going out there with guys like Cesaro, Kevin Owens, and putting on fantastic matches every single week. Rusev, Cena had a stretch there where, everybody was talking about, oh, the 5 moves of doom. He doesn't put on great matches. And he went a stretch every single week, putting on 20 to 30-minute US championship title matches and just proving, 20, 15, 16, 17 years in that he can still do it and do it at the top. So,
Right. And it's it's one of those things that makes Cena such a just a diamond in the business just because I think that even today, I know he's out Mr. Hollywood now. And it's funny because he became the thing he mocked The Rock for being. Now he's officially that. And I think that now you have an opportunity to sort of take that role where Cena was the everyday, the company man, the in and out, day in, day out guy. And he's now officially in that spot for The Rock. So with The Rock being and I really think that The Rock is done outside of rumors and speculation that he's going to be Roman and Rock. Again, though, they've been sort of planting that seed. But before we get into that one, I think that you have an opportunity to take a guy like Cena now and put him up against anybody that's sort of a like a company man at this point, and it would work beautifully in my opinion. But no, Cena, like you said, he's been just an amazing act to watch just because he's embraced everything that everybody's hated of him, and he's always been that way. He's always been that way. Even when it came to this time when he wrestled in WC or ECW, when they brought that back, that was amazing just to watch Cena just embrace the hate, him throwing his t-shirt into the crowd and them throwing it back like we don't want it. So that part of Cena was always one of my favorites.
no, I 100% agree with you. And it'd be interesting to see if Cena does come back and have that one last match. Cause like there's only really a handful of guys I can see him truly going up against. I could see doing one last run with a guy like Braun Breaker in NXT to kind of boost him, or maybe a guy like Austin Theory could be a nice matchup for Cena to kind of give a little bit more credibility to him. But uh that remains to be seen. We'll see if he ever makes a comeback along with The Rock. Like, a lot of people say, oh yeah, The Rock's gonna come back. The last time we saw him like really addressed the crowd after he lost to the championship to John Cena after WrestleMania. He said he was going to come back and be the WWE champion again. But do I, at this point, like,
I think that you have this whole ideology of The Rock being, what else does he have to prove at this point? What does, and even when you look back on the Cena Rock match, like he did not need that damn title. There was no need for that title. The spectacle of Rock Cena was enough. So the fact that they put the belt on The Rock so Cena could go for it, it really bothered me because it was like, because it's those question of what makes the match, what makes the man. Is it the belt, or does the man make the belt? Does the man make the match? What's the bigger spectacle here? And the fact that they were like, let's put the belt in there.
they didn't need it.
That's the weirdest
It
thing
should
that
have
they
stayed
do.
on Punk.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have loved to have seen Punk defend that title at WrestleMania. Of course, we know what happened shortly after all of that, but I really don't see why that was a big problem. I would have loved to have seen Cena or to Punk debut the new belt, be that guy that's like, let's get rid of this Cena crap. It's the new straight edge society, whatever he was doing at that time.
Yeah. And I mean, we even that run with Cena though, there was some pretty dope things that happened, Dana Bryan, the whole authority. Without all of that, we may never have Daniel Bryan's Road to WrestleMania, which I think is both one of the greatest and one of the worst storylines
Ooh.
ever.
We'll have to get into that. That's going to be a highly debatable and controversial episode the day that you share your thoughts on the Daniel Bryan Road to WrestleMania.
For when Jordan, we talk about like spine buster sports, and like 2 years ago when me and my buddies were first talking about doing this thing, and my head has always been in the pro wrestling realm with it. The first conversation was going to be about Daniel Bryan's run to WrestleMania that year, because the ball was dropped in so many different ways with WWE from, they, as much as everyone hated what they did at SummerSlam with Orton and Daniel Bryan, it's what needed to happen to drive business. But from pretty much December on, WWE screwed up that storyline, but they eventually did get it right. So I have to give them a hand. But like, there's a solid 3 of that 4 months that WWE booked absolutely terribly.
WWE has a really shitty track run about booking themselves into corners, and it's always frustrating as fans, and more so as smart marks. We're very pissed off because it's like, no, you could have done that better. You could have done that better. And as people that have been in the business that call us smart marks, they're like, well, you haven't run a wrestling organization, but clearly, my friend, you have what it takes to be a writer in this room, man. That was a hell of a run, man.
Well, for my really good friends. It'll be a throwback of a blackout drunken night a few years ago when I applied to be a writer applied to be a writer online for WWE.
Oh,
That is a true story of something that once happened.
hey, I might just do it just to do it. See if they hire me. Who knows?
I
Oh
I did
man.
not get hired or responded to. So there you go.
Oh, let's petition pound cake for writers room. Hashtag pound cake for writers room.
Hashtag cake.
Hashtag cake. Well, what do you say we tell the folks what to expect this month? Of course, it's November, and we've got a lot of great shows lined up. What do you say?
Yeah, you want to take it away, or
Oh, you're gonna put it in my ball court. All right, I
Mhm.
see how it is.
You've
Well,
done a
with
lot.
with the month of November, of course, we had this. We spun the the pod roulette wheel. God, that's gonna be hard for me to do. And of course, episode 1 of this month was Hogan versus Cena, the Nunts in a Lifetime episode. Of course, this month is also Survivor Series month as well. We haven't fully decided whether or not we're going to do something about Survivor Series or do a watch along. We might not. We haven't fully decided and or committed to it, but we've got a couple of top 10 lists, top 10 lists wrestlers wrestlers who were in NFL. Of course, Pound Cake, that's in your ball court there. And as well as another top 10 list of top 10 wrestlers who had legit heat backstage. The backstage heat and that we've all heard of. Of course, we've got a little sneak peek. We've got Goldberg and Chris Jericho backstage. We've even heard rumblings of Booker T and Batista, but that's we'll explore that one at that time. Of course, we've got a couple of watch along episodes too. Month of November, I figure Pound Cake, let's go visit your neck of the woods as far as your passion goes. Of course, I'm talking about doing a watch along ECW's November to Remember. You've already got a match picked aside. Did you want to give the folks a little let them know what we're going to be watching from November to Remember?
We are going to be diving in. I dove into all the ECW matches from November to Remember, and I picked out Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka, November to Remember 99, for the ECW Heavyweight Championship, one of the best ECW matches to ever happen.
I'm excited to do a watch along. I've been diving into that specific pay-per-view, and I totally forgot how like jam-packed and how sort of pushing the envelope that ECW was back in that day. And it's weird to say that because like we're at that time period, the envelope that they were pushing was really, really touchy. And looking at it from today's perspective, holy shit, you can't get away with half the shit that they were talking about, even in that day and age. So the fact that ECW was running that is amazing.
It was they were pushing the envelope even more like 2 to 3 years prior to this. Like we were very close to talking about the 1994 November to Remember, and I believe it was I know it was the Gangstas versus maybe Public Enemy. I'd have to check my notes again, but that stuff would have been even more wild. They were pushing a lot of things. If you anybody who's listening, if you've never checked out on Peacock under WWE documentaries, it is the rise and fall of ECW. It's one of the first WWE home video releases that was put out after they took over WCW and ECW. And it's a solid like 2 to 2.5 hour documentary of from beginning to end of ECW. They've got a bunch of the original guys doing interviews with Paul Heyman, Tommy Dreamer, some of the Dudley Boys, Spike's pretty prevalent on their Taz. But one of my favorite documentaries that WWE has ever done.
Now, was it my imagination, or when they released that, that was around the time that they did the, or that was right before they did the one night stand? Yeah,
it was either right before or right after the first one. And I want to say a lot of that was just to push and the one night stand pay-per-view and push the sales of the DVD. But like we've said, like the stuff that WWE does documentary wise, I absolutely love. I not only watch them on Peacock, I own hard copies of most of all these as well.
Oh man, if they're not on VHS, then I believe that
I told you how many VHSs I used to have. 2 Rubbermaid containers full.
Oh,
And I only recently got rid of them within the last couple of years because of the network. I have one left.
One is it the ECW one?
No, it's Over the Edge 1999.
Ooh. Oh man, we'll have to talk more about that one. And of course, the last WWA episode, we've got two WWA matches this month, and maybe a bonus one. We don't know. But of course, I figured with it being 20 years old and a lot of this stuff that we were talking about this episode, looking back, I figured let's go back 20 years again and let's talk about the very first Elimination Chamber match, the very first one, which happened in Survivor Series 2002. So, and we might have some bonus episodes that drop. We don't know. We haven't figured that out yet, but that's what you guys got to look forward to this month. And it's where we're going to be going with everything going forward. So you wanna plug a little bit there, Pound Cake, before we take off out of here?
Always check out Spinebuster Sports on Facebook. You can check out all our merchandise at shop.spinebustersports.com. Make sure to follow Spinebuster Sports, follow Talking Kayfabe. Keep a lookout. We always are sharing the episodes. Subscribe to the Talking Kayfabe YouTube channel. Find us wherever you get your podcasts at, and fucking finish them.
I love it. I love it. Of course, yeah, we're constantly adding to more platforms, and we're constantly always ever changing. Of course, we're on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, YouTube, and more to come here soon. So, well, I figure with that being said, there, Pound Cake, what do you say we wrap the leg and get the hell out of here?
Hell yeah, brother. It's been a pleasure talking to you once again this week.
I gotta point out, what hat are you wearing? Does this say For Life on there? The fact that you didn't turn that, or the fact that you didn't turn that around when we were talking about the NWO.
I'm a backwards hat guy.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm normally wearing a hat, but I figured I'd show off my haircut. So,
No, this is my one of those my prized hats. This one, I keep this one pristine, and I break it out every so often when me and you are on topic. So
perfect, man. Well, let's hope that I can get the hell out of here, man.
all right, brother.
Talking Kayfabe is a Lone Bear production, with all editing done by me, Jordan Lone Bear. Music provided by Pond 5 Media.